When you think of famous NFL families, I'm guessing the Mannings are the first family that comes to mind for most people. And while they probably are the most well known, are they actually the best? There are several families in this video that I think will surprise you. Whether that's because you didn't know some of these players were related, or maybe you've just never heard of the family at all. And before we get started, I want to make my criteria for making this list clear. It's for players only, so no coaching families will be listed. And I'm also looking for numbers, meaning I'll be focusing on families with big NFL depth, not just one set of brothers. That'll be for another video. And lastly, there needs to be some consistency in talent, so families like the Gronkowskis will also be missing because their success was pulled from one player. Now that that's out of the way, get set because this is my list of the greatest NFL families of all time. Just to get them out of the way, let's start off with football royalty, the Mannings. Obviously, their overall resume and impact on the game is undeniable. In truth, the only thing really holding them back from some of the other choices on this list is pure numbers, with only 3 Mannings making it to the league so far. But those 3 players were not only consistent, but they were all Pro Bowl caliber players at the minimum. All in all, of the 3 Mannings, they totaled 48 seasons played in the league. All 3 were selected within the first 2 picks of the draft, with Archie going second overall, and both Peyton and Eli going number 1. They combined for 20 Pro Bowl appearances, 4 Super Bowl victories, and so far, 1 Pro Football Hall of Famer in Peyton. It really is hard to argue this resume, but I think a number of the other families on this list give the Mannings a run for their money. Maybe not in terms of Super Bowl prowess, but in numbers and overall success. For instance, the next family I'll be discussing is, in my opinion, the real first family of football, this being the Matthews. Now, the Mannings' 48 combined seasons played is nothing to scoff at by any means, especially considering it was just 3 of them. But altogether, the Matthews family combines for a ridiculous 84 seasons played in the NFL so far, with 9 different family members making it to the highest level. Starting all the way back in 1950, when Clay Matthews Sr. was drafted in the 25th round of the draft by the 49ers to play on the O-line. Clay Sr. didn't have a highly successful career, playing just 4 years as a pro, but his 2 sons, Clay Jr. and Bruce, left lasting legacies on the gridiron. Clay Jr. was a first-round pick back in 1978 when he was selected by the Browns as a linebacker. He spent 16 years in Cleveland, racking up 4 Pro Bowl nods, and he ended his career playing 3 seasons with the Falcons, which brings his total alone to 19 years played. If you think that's impressive, his younger brother, and easily the most successful of the family, Bruce, matched his big brother's total and also spent 19 years in the pros. Bruce was also a first-round pick, but on the offensive line. He was taken by the Houston Oilers in 1983, and he stayed with the organization for his entire career through 2001, but by then they had become the Tennessee Titans. In his 19 years, Bruce made 14 Pro Bowl nods and was named to both the 1990s All-Decade Team and the NFL's 100th Anniversary Team on his way to being enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. From here comes the next generation of Matthews. Clay Jr. had 2 sons that made it to the league, Clay III and Casey. Like their father, both Clay and Casey played linebacker. Clay was a first-round pick in 2009, being selected by the Packers. He spent 10 years in Green Bay, picking up a Super Bowl ring and 6 Pro Bowl appearances in that time before ending his career playing 1 season with the Rams. Casey was taken in the 4th round by the Eagles in 2011 and spent 4 years in Philly and 1 year with the Vikings, but ultimately injuries brought his promising career to an end. Now for Bruce's side of the family. He had 3 sons play in the NFL, all as linemen, Kevin, Jake, and Mike. Kevin went undrafted in 2010, but he spent time with the Titans, Redskins, and Panthers before his career ended in 2014. Jake was a first-round selection in 2014 going to the Falcons, and he's actually still playing today. So far, he's made 1 Pro Bowl appearance and is still a strong presence in Atlanta. Lastly, there's Mike, who went undrafted in 2016, but lasted 3 seasons in the NFL until 2018, playing primarily as a practice squad player. And then, crazy enough, one of Bruce's nephews from his wife's side of the family also made it to the league, this being Troy Niklas. Troy was a second-round pick the same year as his cousin Jake in 2014, and he was drafted as a tight end by the Cardinals. He lasted 6 years in the NFL, spending most of his time with the Cardinals, but also making stops with the Patriots and Buccaneers. With Niklas included, the Matthews family had 9 NFL players, combining for 84 seasons played, 4 first-round draft picks, 25 Pro Bowl appearances, 1 Super Bowl victory, and so far 1 Pro Football Hall of Famer. It's hard to compete with the numbers and depth of talent in the Matthews family, but the one family that can is the Browners. Now, before I start with the Browners, there is a little confusion about one of the family members. And by confusion, I mean it's hard to confirm whether or not they are actually a member of the family. But I'll get into that when we get to him. Starting off with the first Browner brother to make it to the league, we have Ross. Ross was taken in the first round by the Bengals in 1978 as a D-end. He spent 9 years in Cincinnati and 1 in Green Bay. He made the all-rookie team his first year and actually set an NFL record for most tackles by a D lineman in a Super Bowl in 1982, despite the Bengals coming up short to the Joe Montana-led 49ers. His brother Jim, who is actually the eldest brother, was a 12th round selection as a defensive back the year after Ross in 1979, also going to the Bengals. But Jim lasted only 2 seasons before he was out of the league. The next Browner brother is Joey, who had the most success of the bunch. He was drafted in the first round in 1983 by the Vikings, and he lasted 9 years in Minnesota before ending his career playing 1 season with the Buccaneers. All in all, Joey was a 6-time Pro Bowler and named to the 1980s All-Decade team. The youngest brother is Keith, who was taken in the second round by the Buccaneers in 1984. He made the All-Rookie team his first year, but only lasted 5 seasons in the league, spending time with the Bucs, Raiders, 49ers, and Chargers before a stint in the CFL and then 8 years in the Arena League. Of these brothers, Ross and Keith each had sons that made it to the NFL as well. Keith's son, Keith Jr., went undrafted in 2011 but signed with the Texans as a D-end. He lasted 3 years in Houston before a stint with the Bears in 2014. Ross's son, Max Starks, was a 3rd-round pick going to the Steelers in 2012 as an O-lineman. Quick sidetrack, but the reason he doesn't hold the Browner name is because both he and his dad didn't know about the other until Max's mom broke the news to them when Max was a junior in high school. But that's a different story for a different day. Max played with the Steelers for 9 years, helping them win 2 Super Bowls in that time, but he capped his career off splitting time between the Chargers, Rams, and Cardinals. Now going back in time a little bit, but the first member of the family to make his way to the pros was actually a cousin named Tommy Wilson. Tommy actually never played in college, but he found his way into the league in 1956 after a successful tryout with the Rams, and he even earned a spot in the Pro Bowl in 1957 as a running back. After 6 years with the Rams, he had 1-year stints with the Browns and Vikings before retiring. Tommy's son, Steve Wilson, went undrafted in 1979, but he signed with the Cowboys as a receiver, but then converted to defensive back. He spent 3 years in Dallas and 7 seasons with the Broncos, totaling 22 interceptions over 10 years. Now remember when I said there was a player that was hard to confirm whether or not he was actually a member of the family? Well, this would be Johnny Davis. The only time Johnny was mentioned as a member of the Browner family is when Ross spoke about him as a cousin that played in the league in an interview when talking about his son, Max. However, I couldn't find any other evidence to prove that they were actually related. So, while the Johnny Davis I found fits the right timeline, he wasn't from the same area as the Browner brothers, so I can't even prove he's the right Johnny Davis. That being said, the Johnny Davis I chose to include in this video was a former 2nd-round pick that played fullback. He was drafted the same year as his alleged cousin Ross in 1978, and he went to the Buccaneers. Johnny spent 3 years in Tampa, then 1 with the 49ers, where he even earned a Super Bowl ring, playing against Ross in 1982. He then went on to play 7 years with the Browns until he retired following the 1987 season. In total, if you include Johnny Davis, the Browner family had 9 total NFL players and combined for 71 seasons played, 2 first-round picks, 7 Pro Bowl appearances, and 3 Super Bowl victories. Even if you don't count Johnny, they would still have 60 combined seasons played, which would still put them top 3 on this list, though they would have 1 less Super Bowl. If you happen to know any extra information on the Browners' relation to Johnny Davis, please comment down below. Next up, we have a family that is still making a big impact in the league today, the Bosa's. You know the Bosa's today from the dominant defensive end brothers Joey and Nick, but their family legacy in the NFL actually started on their mother's side of the family. Joey and Nick's grandfather, William Palmer Pyle, was the first member to make it to the league. He was drafted as an O-lineman in the 6th round back in 1960. He played 7 years in the pros, spending time with the Colts, Vikings, and Raiders through 1966. His brother Mike entered the league a year after him, coming in as a 7th round selection in 1961 by the Bears. Mike grounded out a 9-year career all spent with Chicago. He made one Pro Bowl appearance in 1963 and even helped the Bears win an NFL championship that same year. Now enters the Bosa name. Joey and Nick's dad, John Bosa, was a first-round selection by the Dolphins in 1987 as a D lineman. John's career started off strong, earning a spot on the All-Rookie team, but injuries soon took a toll. After just 3 years in Miami, followed by a brief stint with the Jets, John's career ended prematurely after just 4 seasons. Next up is John's teammate and future brother-in-law, Eric Kumerow. Kumerow was the son of William Palmer Pyle, but used his mother's maiden name of Kumerow. He was the Dolphins' first-round pick after John Bosa, entering the league in 1988. Unfortunately for Eric, his career paralleled that of his brother-in-law, and after just 3 years with the Dolphins and 1 with the Bears, his career came to an early end due to injuries. The next generation of the family to make it to the NFL starts with Eric's son, Jake Kumerow. Unlike the rest of the family, Jake played wide receiver. He came into the league as an undrafted free agent out of Division III powerhouse, Wisconsin Whitewater. He signed with the Bengals in 2015 and grinded his way to an 8-year career. He spent time playing with the Bengals, Patriots, Packers, Bills, and Saints. Then come the Bosas we know, starting with Joey. He followed in his dad's footsteps and was drafted in the first round by the Chargers in 2016 as a D-end. Joey is in his 10th year so far, spending 9 seasons with the Chargers and now joining the Bills. He's had a great career thus far, winning Defensive Rookie of the Year and earning 5 Pro Bowl nods to this point. The last and arguably most talented member of the family to come to the NFL is Nick Bosa. Nick is having a similar but slightly more successful career than his older brother. He was also a first-round pick at D-end, going to the 49ers in 2019. He's also appeared in 5 Pro Bowls so far, and like his brother, he too won Defensive Rookie of the Year. Along with this, he took home the Defensive Player of the Year in 2022 and looks to continue his strong career. So far, the Bosa/Kumerow clan has combined for 49 years in the NFL, producing 7 Pro Bowl players, 4 of which were first-round draft picks. They've compiled 11 Pro Bowl appearances, 5 first-round draft picks, 2 Defensive Rookie of the Year awards, 1 Defensive Player of the Year award, and 3 All-Rookie Team selections. The next family on this list has the most of any family with 12 NFL players, 6 of which are still playing now. Since it spans multiple family lines, you're going to hear a number of different names, but the most notable from this line will be the Sewells and Nacuas. However, the actual link between these family lines is current Chiefs offensive lineman Kingsley Suamataia. And funny enough, he's actually the most recent family member to make it to the league, coming in as a second-round pick in 2024. Kingsley is cousins with both the Sewells and Nacuas, along with several other current and former NFL players. Starting off with the first set of Kingsley's cousins to make it to the league are the Nacuas. Everybody knows about Puka, but he is actually the third Nacua brother to reach the NFL. The first was his eldest brother, Kai. Kai went undrafted in 2017, but signed with the Browns as a safety. He ultimately played 6 years in the league, splitting time with the Browns, Ravens, Panthers, Colts, 49ers, and Jets before heading over to the UFL where he still plays today. Then, Samson came along in 2022. He also went undrafted but was picked up by the Colts where he played receiver. Samson's NFL career was brief as he was cut in the preseason and moved on to the UFL, but he did get another shot in the NFL with the Saints the following year. However, he failed to make the final roster. He then came back to the UFL and currently plays alongside Kai on the Michigan Panthers. Finally came Puka in 2023, being the only Nacua brother to be drafted. He was taken in the 5th round by the Rams, and he's already made a name for himself, earning spots on both the All-Rookie team and the Pro Bowl after a stellar first year in which he set rookie records for most receiving yards in a season and most receptions in a single game. The Nacuas also have a cousin on their side named Marist Liufau, who came into the league last year as a 3rd-round pick to the Cowboys, where he currently plays linebacker. The other well-known cousin of Kingsley Suamataia is Penei Sewell. However, Penei was actually the 3rd family member in his direct line to reach the NFL. His uncle, Richard Brown, broke into the league as an undrafted rookie linebacker on the Rams. Richard played 9 years in the league, spending time with the Rams, Chargers, Browns, and Vikings. Penei's other uncle, Isaac Sopoaga, was drafted by the 49ers in the 4th round as a D lineman in 2004. He stayed in San Francisco for 9 years before having short stints with the Eagles, Patriots, and Cardinals over an 11-year career. After Isaac, Penei was the next to come into the league, doing so as a first-round selection to the Lions in 2021. He's had the most successful career out of the entire family to this point, making the all-rookie team followed by 3 consecutive appearances in the Pro Bowl. Despite being Penei's older brother, Nefi came into the league a year later in 2022 as an undrafted rookie, signing with the Saints as a linebacker. He primarily plays on special teams but remains on the Saints roster today. The next Sewell brother is Noah, who came in 2023, also as an undrafted linebacker. He was signed by the Bears and still plays in Chicago today. Now moving over to Kingsley's uncles, starting with CJ Ayu. CJ was a 7th-round draft pick at D-end by the Bills back in 2007. He was released after the preseason, but signed with the Rams where he spent the entirety of his 5-year career. Lastly, there's JT Mapu, although there wasn't much information to go off of on the internet regarding his pro career. From what I could find, he spent 1 year with the Redskins in 2008 as an undrafted rookie, but I'm not sure if he was released or signed to the practice squad for the season. There's actually a number of other family members that played professional football, just not in the NFL, such as CJ Ayu's uncle, Junior, who's in the CFL Hall of Fame, and Junior's son, Harland, who won a Grey Cup, as well as Gabriel Sewell Jr., who played a few years in the USFL and UFL. I know that was a lot to take in, but in total, this football family combined for 12 NFL players with 53 seasons played between them so far. They've had 2 Pro Bowl players, Penei Sewell and Puka Nacua, and they boast 7 draft picks in the family. If you count the family members that played in other leagues, they have a staggering 77 combined years of professional football played between 15 different family members, which is technically enough to field a starting roster with backups. Next on this list is a family full of NFL stars that I'm confident most of you did not know were related. What if I told you Keyshawn Johnson, Chad Johnson, Antrell Roll, and Michael Thomas were all related? Well, sort of. There's a lot to unpack here, so I'll just start with the first member of this extended family to make it to the league, this being Keyshawn Johnson. He was drafted first overall back in 1996 by the Jets. He played 11 years between the Jets, Buccaneers, Cowboys, and Panthers, and in that time, he was a 3-time Pro Bowler and even helped Tampa Bay claim their first Super Bowl victory in the 2002 season. Keyshawn has 2 direct NFL relationships in his line. First, I'll talk about his nephew, Michael Thomas. Thomas was a 2nd-round pick by the Saints in 2016, selected to play receiver just like his Pro Bowl uncle. He hit the ground running, earning all rookie team honors and then going on to claim 3 consecutive Pro Bowl nods, along with winning the NFL's Offensive Player of the Year in 2019 when he led the league in receptions and receiving yards. Thomas spent each of his 8 years in the NFL with the Saints. Keyshawn also had a famous cousin who played wide receiver as well, and this is none other than Chad Ochocinco Johnson. Chad was a 2nd-round pick back in 2001, going to the Bengals, where he spent 10 of his 12 years as a pro, later moving on to have short stints with the Patriots and Dolphins. In those 12 years, Chad was selected to 6 Pro Bowls and named an All-Pro 3 times, as well as being inducted to the Bengals Hall of Fame. Chad has another cousin who recently played in the league, named Brandon Johnson, another wide receiver. Brandon went undrafted in 2022, but signed with the Broncos. However, after 2 years in Denver and 1 in Pittsburgh, Brandon was out of the league. Now is where the real family connection comes in. Chad is cousins with Brian Roll, and Brian has a few cousins that all starred on the defensive side of the ball. Brian is the last Roll to make it to the league, coming in as a 6th-round pick at linebacker to the Eagles in 2011. He spent 2 years in Philly and 1 with the Steelers before playing 1 season in the CFL. Brian's first cousin to make it to the league was his older cousin, Samari Roll. Samari was a 1st-round pick in 1998 as a DB, being taken by the then Tennessee Oilers, now Titans. He played 12 years in the league, splitting time between the Titans and Ravens, earning 1 Pro Bowl appearance in 2000. The next Roll cousin to make it to the pros was Antrell, who's probably the most well-known. Antrell was a 1st-round pick in 2005 going to the Cardinals. He was a 3-time Pro Bowler and 2-time All-Pro, and he earned a Super Bowl ring while playing with the Giants. He spent 11 years in the league between Arizona, New York, and Chicago. The last family member mentioned is Myron, who may not have been the most talented of the bunch, but he was definitely the strongest in the classroom. Myron earned his bachelor's degree in health sciences in just 2.5 years, and he even decided to postpone his NFL career to pursue his studies at Oxford University after he was awarded a prestigious Rhodes Scholarship. After his year at Oxford, he was drafted by the Titans in the 6th round in 2010 as a safety. He played 2 years in Tennessee and 1 with the Steelers before he chose to leave football and focus on his medical career. This oddly intertwined football family produced 8 NFL players with 63 total seasons played. Between them, they boast 2 Super Bowl rings and 16 Pro Bowl appearances coming from 5 of the 8 players, which serves as proof of the consistency of the talent in the family. To end this list is another interesting family dynamic. I'll explain this one as I go, but I'll begin with the 2 players that connect everyone together, brothers Quentin Jammer and Quandre Diggs. Quentin, who is 13 and a half years older than Quandre, was the first brother to reach the height of the NFL, coming in as a first-round pick to the Chargers in 2002 as a DB. He played 11 of his 12 years in the league with San Diego before ending up with the Broncos. All in all, Quentin was named to the All-Rookie team his first year and ended his career being named to the Chargers' 50th anniversary team. His brother Quandre may be 13 years younger, but he had the most successful career of anyone in the family up to this point. Although he was a 6th-round pick as a safety in 2015 going to the Lions, Quandre has blazed a career that boasts 3 consecutive Pro Bowl appearances from 2020 to 2022 after joining the Seahawks. He currently plays for the Titans, and believe it or not, his younger cousin recently joined him there after being selected 1st overall in this year's draft. This, of course, being Cam Ward. Cam is looking to help revive the Titans on the offensive side of the ball, while his Pro Bowl cousin leads them on defense. Now going back to Quentin and Quandre, their other cousin, Cedric Woodard, was actually the first member of the family to make his way into the league. He was drafted in the 6th round by the Ravens in 2000 as a D tackle, but unfortunately, he wouldn't make the final roster of a Ravens team that went on to win the Super Bowl. Instead, he was picked up by the Seahawks, and he stayed in Seattle for 5 years before ending his time in the NFL playing 1 season with the Saints. Then there's Darren Woodard, who went undrafted in 2013 as a DB but signed with the Rams. He secured a spot on the practice squad over 2 years before doing the same thing with the Cardinals between 2014 and 2015 before he was out of the NFL. Quentin's cousin, Johnny Lee Higgins, also made his way to the pinnacle of pro football when he was drafted in the 3rd round back in 2007 by the Raiders as a wide receiver and return specialist. Higgins played with the Raiders until 2010, and he even led the league in punt return yards in 2008. But his time in the league came to an end after he was cut by the Eagles in the final round of roster cuts in 2011. This extended family features 6 NFL players, 5 of which were drafted and 2 being taken in the 1st round. They have a combined 39 seasons played so far and 3 Pro Bowls, all from Quandre. But their newest addition to the pros in Cam Ward looks to be the best of the bunch, though only time will tell. And finally, that'll wrap up this list of some of the best families in NFL history. But there are many more families to cover, so I'll get working on another video with more of them soon. Share your thoughts down below, and let me know if you were surprised to learn that some of these players were related. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button and consider subscribing as it'll really help me grow the channel. But until next time, get set because I'll have another video coming soon.